Imagine surviving one of the most infamous killers in horror history. That's what happens to Tommy Jarvis. As a kid, he does what almost no one else can. He outsmarts Jason Voorhees and lives to tell the tale. That should be the end of it. But it's not. Tommy doesn't just survive Jason, he accidentally brings him back to life. Then he spends the rest of his life dealing with the consequences. Let's dive into why it really sucks to be born as Tommy Jarvis, a kid who survives Jason. Tommy Jarvis is just a normal kid. He lives near Camp Crystal Lake with his sister Trish and his mom, spending his time doing normal 12-year-old things like watching monster movies, making masks, and playing around with special effects. He's creative, a little quiet, and completely unaware that he's about to come face to face with one of the most dangerous killers in horror history. While Tommy is at home being a kid, Jason Voorhees isn't dead. After being taken to the morgue, Jason wakes up, kills his way out of the hospital, and heads straight back to Crystal Lake. Immediately, the killings start again. A group of teenagers shows up nearby, and one by one, they're picked off in brutal ways. Impaled, stabbed, hunted down like it's just another night for Jason. If that wasn't bad enough, it's happening right next door to Tommy. He isn't just near the danger, he's in it. The neighbors are being slaughtered, and before long, it reaches his own home. The power goes out, his dog runs off, and his mom is killed. And if losing your mom in the middle of all this doesn't suck enough, he doesn't even get time to process it, because now Jason is coming for him. This is where Tommy's life completely changes. Instead of running or hiding, this 12-year-old is forced to figure out how to stop something no one else has been able to stop. He realizes Jason isn't just a monster, he's a person with a past, and decides to use that against him. Tommy does something that is both incredibly smart and messed up. He shaves his head to make himself look like Jason as a child and confronts him directly. Miraculously, it works because Jason hesitates. He's confused. Jason pauses just long enough for Trish to strike him with a machete. This should be the end, but Jason doesn't stay down, so Tommy picks up the machete and finishes it himself. He keeps hacking at Jason's body over and over again, completely losing control, screaming, while his sister begs him to stop. This is where it stops being about survival and starts becoming something else. Because yes, Tommy survives, but at this point, that almost doesn't matter. He's a 12-year-old kid who just watched his mom die, experienced a massacre, and then brutally killed someone with his own hands. That's not something you just walk away from. The final shot shows him in the hospital, hugging his sister, and for a moment, it feels like maybe he's okay, until he opens his eyes and something is clearly off. This raises a bigger question. What happens to a kid after something like this? Let's find out. Trauma doesn't go away. 5 years have passed, and Tommy isn't living a normal life. He's living with what he did. Surviving Jason didn't fix anything. It broke him. It left him with the reality that he brutally killed another human being. That's not something you simply move on from. It follows him. Nightmares, hallucinations, constant paranoia. Tommy isn't recovering from trauma. He's stuck inside it. This is where it really starts to suck to be Tommy Jarvis, and it's about to get much worse. Tommy lives in a psychiatric halfway house, surrounded by other troubled teens, but he doesn't belong there in the same way they do. They have problems. Tommy has something else entirely. He's quiet, unstable, always on edge, like he's waiting for something to come back. Then it does. People begin dying around him, violently, just like before. Immediately, everything comes rushing back. The fear, the memories, the paranoia, except this time it's worse because Tommy doesn't even know if what he's seeing is real. Is Jason back, or is it all in his head? That question alone is enough to break someone. Imagine not trusting your own mind. No one else trusts him either. Only they're not wondering if Jason is back. They're wondering if Tommy is the one doing it, because Tommy is exactly what they expect a killer to look like. He has a history of violence. He has outbursts. He's hallucinating. So now Tommy isn't just a victim, he's a suspect. That's a completely different kind of nightmare. But here's where it gets even worse. As the bodies pile up, everything builds toward one final confrontation. Tommy comes face to face with the killer, fights back, and finds himself in the exact same position he was in as a kid. Weapon in hand. Life or death. No way out. Once again, Tommy kills. If killing one person as a child didn't suck bad enough, he's now done it twice. Only this time, the mask comes off, and it's not even Jason Voorhees. It's Roy Burns, a grieving father who snapped and started copying Jason. This makes it so much worse for Tommy because now he has to live with two things: the trauma of what happened to him when he was 12, and the reality of what he's done again. His life goes from bad to completely unfair. The film ends with Tommy in a hospital, looking calm for the first time in years, like maybe he's finally getting better. Until the final moment when he puts on a hockey mask and picks up a knife, which raises a much more disturbing question. Is Tommy afraid of Jason, or is he becoming the next version of him? You bring Jason back to life. 1 year later, Tommy is finally released from the hospital for the criminally insane. This should be a good thing, except he's not better. He's still having flashbacks, still reliving everything that happened to him, and still stuck on Jason. Tommy decides the only way to fix it is to go back. He returns to Crystal Lake now renamed Forest Green, determined to finally end it. He digs up Jason's grave with his friend Alan, planning to cremate Jason's body and put everything to rest. For a moment, that actually sounds like the right decision, until it isn't. Standing over Jason's corpse, Tommy has another flashback. He snaps, grabs a metal fence post, and starts stabbing Jason's body over and over again, releasing years of fear, anger, and trauma all at once. This is where things really fall apart because lightning strikes the metal post twice. And just like that, Jason Voorhees comes back to life. He kills Alan, puts the hockey mask back on, and walks away. Tommy didn't just fail to fix his problem, he made it worse. As if it didn't already suck to be Tommy Jarvis now, everything that happens next is on him. Tommy runs to the police, tells them exactly what he did, and tries to warn them of what's coming. Instead of helping him, they arrest him. From their perspective, nothing has changed. Tommy is still the mentally unstable kid who's been institutionalized, ranting about a dead killer coming back to life. What really sucks? The sheriff tries to get rid of him, transfer him out of town, and make him someone else's problem. Because if Tommy is gone, then the problem will certainly go away, right? Wrong. While they're busy dragging Tommy out of town, Jason is out there killing people. So Tommy does the only thing he can. He escapes. He breaks free, finds Megan, the sheriff's daughter, and tries again to warn anyone about what's happening. This time, Megan starts to believe him. But it doesn't last long because the sheriff catches up to them and Tommy gets arrested. Again. Now he's back in a jail cell for the second time, being blamed for murders he didn't commit, while the killer he accidentally resurrected is out there proving him right. No one listens until it's too late. Jason starts tearing through the camp. The sheriff finally realizes Tommy was right, but by then the damage is already done. Tommy is now left to fix this himself. Megan breaks him out of jail, and together they rush to Crystal Lake. Tommy comes up with one final plan: lure Jason back to the lake. Not to kill him, but to contain him, because at this point, Tommy understands something better than anyone else. Jason doesn't stay dead. Tommy gets on a boat, baiting Jason onto the lake and chains a boulder around his neck. Jason attacks and drags Tommy into the water, but during the chaos, Tommy manages to trap Jason underwater. It works. Jason sinks, motionless, contained. Tommy says it's finally over. But if Tommy's life has taught us anything, it's that it's never really over. Because the final shot shows Jason at the bottom of the lake, alive and waiting. Why it really sucks to be Tommy Jarvis. When you step back and look at Tommy Jarvis's life, it's one problem stacked on top of another. He is forced to confront extreme violence as a child, right after losing his mom, which means before he's even a teenager, he's already carrying more trauma than most people will ever experience in a lifetime. He is burdened with anger, fear, and guilt long before he is emotionally capable of understanding it. Those experiences shapes how he thinks, how he reacts, and how he sees the world. What really sucks is that when Tommy seeks help from experts who are supposed to understand and guide him, doctors, authority figures, and institutions, they're unable to fix what he is dealing with. Instead of support, he is met with doubt, dismissal, and suspicion. He is treated like a problem rather than a victim. What does that teach him? That even when you ask for help, there isn't any. How do you trust authority after that? How do you trust the system when every time you've relied on it, it's failed you? More importantly, how do you trust yourself? Tommy has also taken lives more than once. Even if it was self-defense, he carries the psychological weight of those actions. It affects how he views himself and raises the question of whether he's going to have to do it again. That kind of internal conflict bleeds into adulthood, into friendships, and into relationships. How do you build a normal life after that? How do you explain that to someone? How do you let people get close to you when your entire life has been defined by violence, trauma, and not being believed? What ultimately makes his situation so brutal is that at one point, he becomes the reason the nightmare returns. Every consequence that follows is something he must live with, adding more responsibility to what he already carries. By the time he is technically free, he's not truly free at all. He is someone shaped by fear, guilt, and isolation, with no clear way to move forward, which is exactly why it really, really sucks to be born as Tommy Jarvis. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Shriek Geek, and drop a comment below. Who do you think has it worse, Tommy Jarvis or another horror character? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next nightmare.